About capacity building for novice researchers, school heads, master teachers, teaching and non-teaching personnel, both coming from the SDO and field personnel. The 6th Division Research Congress provides as avenue for presenting completed research studies to other research enthusiasts. It is also an opportunity for recognition and inclusion in the publication journal for wide dissemination and circulation. Those considered unvaccinated in research, this is for them. And those who are experts or advanced in research, consider this as a booster shot. My wish and congratulations and hope and pray that this Congress will become successful with the participation of our researchers. Thank you and may keep safe and God bless us all and we may enjoy the spirit of Christmas. Thank you.
Thank you so much to our Chief in the School Governance and Operations Division, Dr. Ernesto F. Tardo, for warmly welcoming everyone, all our participants for this 6th Division Virtual Research Congress Season 2, and for also stating clearly the purpose of this convergence. Ayan po, I hope you are fine wherever you are right now as we continue with our virtual convergence. At this point, ladies and gentlemen, please help me in welcoming our Assistant Schools Division Superintendent, Sir Raymond M. Salvador CSF, for his message. Let's give him virtual rounds of applause.
Thank you, Sir Brian. Thank you so much to our Schools Division Superintendent, Dr. Maharani Jacinto, CESO 6. Good morning, ma'am. To our Assistant Schools Division Superintendent, looking after the welfare of Congressional District 1, Dr. Romeo M. Daligdig. Morning, sir. To our two chiefs, Dr. Juliet Magallanes of the CID and Dr. Ernesto Tardo of the SGOD. And to our SEPs of the Education of the Planning and Research, Dr. Lito Bahian, to the Research Technical Working Group of the Division of Zamboanga del Sur. Good morning, everyone, and to all our research enthusiasts, to our school heads, master teachers. We have our teaching and non-teaching personnel. We also have our campus journalists. Maayong buntag sa atong tanan. Indeed, God is good because He gave us the opportunity to gather once more to have the 6th Division Research Congress, which is now in Season 2. Parang ano lang tayo, no? Parang sa mga live show ng mga variety show ng nasa TV. But let us take this opportunity as a right avenue for us to even engross ourselves and to be more aware of how to conduct research studies. And we are all aware that most of our colleagues in the department are very much into research. But sad to note, if you look at the data, it's only a little percent that our teachers, our colleagues, no, are engaged in doing research studies. Now, for what purpose are we doing the study? First and foremost, we like to find out something if it's worth it to be given the attention. Like, for example, we were able to find out that we have poor performance in our school. Of course, we want to improve that. But for us to be able to improve the performance, we need to the factors that causes the performance, whether poor or good performance of our learners. So these are just sample of the issues that we have that we would like to give attention, and research come into play. As I was talking with your research head, the research czar, Dr. Bahian, how do we engage our colleagues into doing research? I know most of us would use time as a reason. Some of us, some of us would use the element of we don't have enough background or knowledge to do the study. And even some of us would say, I'm already contented. I don't longer need to do research because I don't need the points to get promoted. So there are various reasons for us to do the research study. And I hope that at the end of the Congress that we're having right now, most of us will open our minds and have a clearer view and understanding as to research is really vital nowadays. And I would always like to emphasize that research does not only end once you're done publishing it and presenting it. It's a study that's not a bookshelf study. It ends up hanging in the bookshelf. But the study should really matter and really give emphasis on the improvement and alleviation of our community. Because when we do research, we really want to put premium on the upliftment of our community. For example, you were able to study on the reading performance of our learners. Of course, you were able to identify the reading performance of our learners and the factors and the reasons and the causes. But what have you done? You know, research should go beyond of what we are doing it inside no in our organization. Once you're able to identify in your findings and you were able to conclude that this is really indeed the reason, the causes, what have you done about it? Most of us would stop at that point because I'm done. I was able to find the conclusion. But we are forgetting the impact of it. So we must always remember the research study that we will be conducting would always have a big impact in our community. And when we say community, it's in the school, it's in our municipality, in our locality. Because remember, part of the research study is the research locale where it's being conducted. And most of all, we are trying to identify the problem and answer the questions. That is why we have the research questions. So I think this Congress season 2, which is solely developed and crafted to capacitate our research novice, as what Sir Tardo mentioned, I hope this would really capture your interest because we really need your valuable studies, the inputs that you're going to make, because as a member of the top management, it is very vital for us that we will be able to craft and plan programs, activities, projects that are also inputted coming from down the grassroots level. So I hope we will all be engaged in this activity. We will give us utmost attention. And I know it's being done virtually. And sometimes when we are too much comfortable in our own respective place, we tend to deviate from what is being discussed and what is being presented by our very highly competent and technical facilitators. So we hope that at the end of this convergence, we will be able to get the commitment and even invite some of you to become part of the research core group of Dr. Bahian, who would look into the welfare and the improvement and development, not only of our learners and teachers, but including our non-teaching personnel. Because if we do study, let us only delimit ourselves to the learners, to the teachers, but we need also to include what are also the reasons why our personnel in the non-teaching side are performing poorly, or what are their concerns and what are their issues in terms of doing their tasks and doing their job. Maybe we can look into that and do that as a start of our study. So I hope again that we will engage ourselves. I was having a chit chat with the group yesterday in the afternoon. I was telling them, don't worry, as long as we're here, and we will always provide you a good avenue to really uh, give credit where credit is due. I was even suggesting why can't we make a proposal that for those who will be able to present a research study, we will give them funding support, just like in any higher education institutions. They are being given educational support fund coming from the Commission of Higher Education. So why can't we adopt such? In this manner, we are encouraging that this study would really take effect, no? It would really be implemented. Kaya sabi ko nga sa kanila kahapon we have lots of good studies. I think if you group together the number of studies that we have for the reading problem, sabi ko nga, for me personally, I think reading has become a perennial problem in the department. But with the number of studies that we have, a lot of our colleagues are doing research study for reading. Why do we still have problem in reading if we have all these best research studies? So I was saying, maybe we need to look beyond after their presentation, beyond their conclusion, beyond their findings, and what would be the impact of it, and how can we help them make a big impact. So sana you would continue to support, and I know most of us are having our personal reasons why we are doing the study. Of course, you cannot discount promotion is one. You cannot also discount it's for your personal gain, while others are doing it because they have other interests. And lastly, I think a few would do research because that's their passion. So let us hope that this convergence will really engage you and capture your attention and let you become one of those true enthusiasts of research. So once again, to the technical working group headed by Dr. Bahian, all the presenters, all the facilitators, the training management team, the ITO team, our host, Sir Brian, all of you, thank you so much for gathering all of our so-called research novice. I think, like Sir Tardan mentioned, you are the unvaccinated when it comes to research, but now this is your first dose. I think you will have your second dose in the future and a booster shot in the future. So congratulations for engaging yourself with this and being part of the group. So to all of you, uh, I know you're in your respective homes. Some of you are in the schools and with your colleagues and with your barcadas joining here. May God bless you, keep you safe always, stay healthy, and hope to see you soon face to face. So once again, from our schools division superintendent, we are very grateful and thankful. Keep safe. God bless. Thank you.
Thank you so much to our Assistant Schools Division Superintendent, Sir Raymond M. Salvador, for your very challenging and inspiring message. I believe that if our participants have fully grasped the message, they would really be propelled to move forward in this research journey because of the support that the top management of the schools division is consistently providing. At this point, ladies and gentlemen, the only way to resolve prevailing concerns is to talk about it. Today, we will be graced by the pool of competent facilitators who will tackle in details the essentials of basic and action research writing. To introduce to us the pool of facilitators, please help me in welcoming our ever supportive special education program specialist in planning and research, Dr. Lito Pibahian. Our virtual claps for him, please.
All right, thank you very much, Sir Brian. Ladies and gentlemen, our dear lovers of wisdom, good morning. And it is with deep honor and privilege to introduce our pool of facilitators. They are considered as the chosen or the cream of the crop of this schools division when it comes to research. And our first facilitator is
has successfully presented his researches in the 2017 Regional Research Congress in Cagayan de Oro City, 2018 Regional Research Congress in Zamboanga City, and 2019 Regional Research Congress in Dapitan City. He is currently serving in the constellation of Sambusor Active Researchers, or ZAR, as president and a certified peer reviewer prior to the realization of the research journal in our schools division. Ladies and gentlemen, the first facilitator for the conduct of basic research, Master Teacher 2, Creamer A. Alikaway of Molavi West District. Our second facilitator is the acting department head of the ESP department of MVTS, at the same time, the district research coordinator of Molavi East District. She won several awards during the conduct of the 5th Division Research Festival, like first placer in basic research, second placer in best slide presentation and basic research, second placer in oral presenter, the same basic research. Currently, she is working on her research at the same time writing a book in collaboration with the 53rd Infantry Matapat Battalion to be launched in January 2022, entitled Winning the Peace, How the CPP-NPA Lost the War in Zamboanga del Sur. Virtual rounds of applause to Leonilyn Sibalaod of Molavi East District. Our third speaker is presently teaching at Dinas National High School, Dinas 1 District. She is an active research coordinator in the secondary level. She is a member of the Constellation of Active Zamboanga del Sur Active Researchers, or ZAR, and a member of the Division Research Peer Reviewers. She was once a research presenter during the 5th Division Research Festival with her basic research entitled Hindering Factors Affecting the Teachers and Parents in Delivering Modular Learning Modality in this New Normal Time. Blissfully, she grabbed the second placer award for Best Oral and Slide Presenter during that festival. Ladies and gentlemen, our third speaker is Jean Marie Kipit Ani. Our fourth facilitator is a Master Teacher 1 of Mid-Salip National High School and a District Research Coordinator of the same district. Her active involvement in various research activities and programs of the Department of Education, Schools Division of Zamboanga del Sur, makes her one of the champions in her time. As a matter of fact, she grabbed the first place in the Best Oral Presenter under the DRRM theme during the conduct of the 5th Division Research Festival. Currently, she holds affiliations as a District Journalism Coordinator, Division Journalism Facilitator, Division Peer Reviewer, and the ZAR Vice President. Ladies and gentlemen, Master Teacher Cristil S. Andaya. Our fifth facilitator is currently serving as the District Research Coordinator for Secondary in Gipus 1. He is currently handling science and practical research subjects in Gipus National High School and a visiting lecturer for thesis writing in GH Real Estate College Gipus Extension class. He graduated with a Bachelor in Secondary Education, major in General Science, cum laude in GHCSC Main Campus. He earned his Master of Arts degree in Education in St. Columban College and his Doctor of Education in Misamis University. In 2020, he became one of the most outstanding secondary teachers in the Schools Division of Zamboanga del Sur. Currently, he is a member of the Constellation of Zamboanga del Sur Active Researchers and a peer reviewer in the publication journal of our Schools Division. He won as the top 1 Best Action Research during the 5th Division Research Festival held last June 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Romel C. Robledo. Our next facilitator joined in the Department of Education in November 2016. She was a presenter of action research in the division office and won the following awards during the 5th Division Research Festival. Second, most number of submitted action research for school year 2021-2022. She is 26 years old, teacher 2, and a member of CIA. Certainly, she is available and in charge of teacher in charge of Tulbong Elementary School, the district research coordinator of Midsalip 2, and a research enthusiast since 2017. She also finished his degree of Doctor of Education, major in Educational Management, batch 2021, a lover of wisdom, April M. Sangrines. Thank you very much and good morning. Those were our full of facilitators, and added to that is, of course, to discuss about the research management guidelines is no less than our Schools Division Research Committee Chair, headed by Dr. Romeo M. Daligdig, who will join us later. Thank you and good morning.
Thank you so much to our division research coordinator, our SEPs in the planning and research, Dr. Lito P. Bahian, for introducing to us all the members of the pool of facilitators for the 6th Division Virtual Research Congress Season 2. We understand and we believe that all those facilitators you mentioned are actually well chosen because of the awards they have gotten during the previous Congress in research and for their continuous development in research. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, we will be calling also the Kwame Associate of the Vision Office, our education program specialist too in the SMME, Ma'am Kathleen Joy Padilla for the COI matters. Ma'am Kathleen? Yes, Ma'am Kathleen is dealing with another appointment since the SMME is currently having an activity at the hotel for the capability building for SMME coordinators. We will be calling again Ma'am Kathleen maybe after another session. All right, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we would like to give you our first session provider who will talk about the essentials of basic research writing. He will be talking about the introduction and rationale, literature review, research questions, and scope and limitation. The person I am talking about is the Master Teacher 2 of Mulawi West District, no less than Sir Kremer A. Alikaway. Sir? While setting up the stage for our first session provider, we would like to inform the public that we are also live via the official YouTube channel of the Schools Division of Zamboanga del Sur. Kindly search DepEd Zamboanga del Sur so you can also have the updates of today's convergence. Thank you so much. And also, if you have queries or concerns while the session is ongoing, we would like to request you to write it down in our chat box. If you are joining via MS Teams Live or via YouTube Live, kindly write your concerns, your queries, your questions on the chat box, and we will surely deal with each of your concerns right after the session. We would like to thank also all our participants for continually supporting the program of this division, especially for the research, because we believe that with your support, we can grow the community of researchers here in our school's division of Zamboanga del Sur. While we are taking the time to prepare the session of our first facilitator, just please remain on standby because in a bit we will start our first session.
Good morning, everyone. I am Krem, and welcome to the first session of this capacity building for research. Our objective for this session are the participants, of course, are expected to formulate basic research title, craft the basic research proposal parts. Number one is the introduction and rationale, literature review, research questions, scope and limitation, and of course, access useful and trusted internet search engine sites. Let us define first or differentiate first what is action research and the basic research. So let's have DepEd Order number 16, Series 2017. Action research is a process of systematic reflective inquiry to improve educational practices or resolve problems in any operating unit. In other words, we are going to introduce an innovation for our school, our district, or in the division. Now, basic research, in other hand, is often purely theoretical with the intent of increasing understanding of certain phenomena or behavior, does not seek to solve or treat the problems. Now we are going to start now with the formulating of the research title. Remember, the type of the title should be in title case, be not more than 12 words in length, and it should exclude the words in, and, to, for, into, of, etc. It should not contain abbreviations or words that serve no purpose and may take up 1 to 3 lines. Again, ladies and gentlemen, let us differentiate first the meaning of action research and basic research. Now, if we are talking about action research, this is a process of systematic, reflective inquiry to improve educational practices or resolve problems in any operating unit. Basic research is purely theoretical with the intent of increasing understanding of certain phenomena or behavior which does not seek to solve or treat the problems. Now let's now have the formulating the research title. Always remember to type the title in title case. Be not more than 12 words in length, excluding in, and, to, for, into, of, etc. Should not contain abbreviations or words that serve no purpose, and may take up 1 to 3 lines. Always take note that research title may change from time to time even at the completion stage. Now, let's try to have this basic research problem. Only one teacher conducted research during a school year. How are we going to formulate the basic research title for this? Now we are going to identify the cause and the effect. So we are now focusing on the hindering factors or problems encountered in writing research. And the effect for this would be the research capacity building or level of the teachers in Kyle Elementary School. Now, what is our possible title for this or proposed title? The title could be Hindering Factors Affecting Teachers' Capacity Level in Writing Research. Now, for our activity 1, you are going to provide your title coming from this problem. Only 2 out of 15 master teachers in the entire district conducted research this school year. Again, you are going to provide the cost and the effect, and then provide the proposed title of this problem. So you are going to post or you are going to send your answers to bit.ly/ capital letter BR underscore Fasi1 underscore Alikaway. Again, the link will be posted, of course, by our technical team in a short while. Now, take a screenshot on this activity 1 so that you could answer or you could send your answer on the link to be provided. Now, what are the parts of the basic research proposal? DepEd Order number 16 series 2017 has emphasized these 9 parts of a research proposal for basic research. The first one is the introduction and rationale, followed by literature review, then research questions, scope and limitation, research methodology, which has 4 parts: sampling, data collection, ethical issues, plan for data analysis. And part 6, the timetable or Gantt chart. Part 7, cost estimates. Part 8, plans for dissemination and advocacy. And the last, but also the most important one, references. Now, for this session, we are going to focus on the basic research proposal, parts 1 to 4. The introduction and rationale, literature review, research questions, and scope and limitation. Let's start with part 1, the introduction and rationale. You have to include the rationale for the research and relevant social, policy, or practice context for the study. The introduction should explain why the research study is being undertaken. For example, to answer a question about a specified problem in education and how the results could be used in action planning and or policy formulation and development. Now, we are going to appraise the rationale of the basic research proposal that you will be presenting. And how many points? That is 10 points. So what should be on your rationale part? The nature, extent, and salience of the research topic are comprehensively discussed. Different aspects of the research setting are elaborated, showing in-depth and critical analysis of the situation, policy implications, benefits, and limitations of the study are also stated. Now let's have an example for Introduction and Rationale. The title for this basic research is STEM Students' Attitude and Plagiarism Behavior in Academic Writing, Implications to Policy and Pedagogy. This was submitted by one of the researchers in the Zamboanga Division, and of course, it was being conducted in the previous year. So what is the introduction and rationale for this study? Take note that the title is STEM Students' Attitude and Plagiarism Behavior in Academic Writing, Implications to Policy and Pedagogy. Plagiarism in academic writing is somewhat baffling concept, and research is still inconsistent on what it indeed constitutes. Sain Al-Sabani and Mahfoud in 2017, though it is commonly defined as using the words, ideas, or data of others without giving credit. Merriam-Webster Online Dictionary 2017. The parameters within which an academic work may be pronounced as plagiarized has yet to be agreed at. Voitova in 2017 presented diverse perspectives of journals and universities in quantifying plagiarism. She highlighted the differing views of how much plagiarism is acceptable. The glaring reality is that plagiarism is a perennial problem in higher education institutions, as evidenced by the number of studies and literature conducted to understand and prevent it. Now let's take a look at this part. The first paragraph of the introduction and rationale. Always take note that the fonts in red are the authors as well as the year the study was conducted or published. Now, the first sentence specified that the author's names and the year being published is being enclosed in parentheses. So usually it is on the last part of the sentence. Now take a look at Starovoitova, that is in 2017, on which the author starts the sentence and the year is being enclosed in parentheses. So always provide proper citation and always have a good form or format on how to cite the authors as well as the study being published. If it is on the last part, be sure to enclose in parentheses the names of the authors and the year. And if the author starts the sentence, always enclose the year in parentheses. Now let's continue on the second paragraph. Much of the recent studies are focused on plagiarism among college and graduate students. Ironically, there is not much discussion about student plagiarism in basic education, although cheating, including plagiarism, is an endemic problem. Negri, Forgas, and Trobat in 2015. Though plagiarism is not given as much attention in basic education as in universities, studies show that past behavior were significant predictors of behavioral intention to engage in plagiarism. Ozon and Killis in 2019 and Kentos in 2017. Moreover, the frequency of the academic cheating during high school has moderately strong positive correlation with academic dishonesty. Kentos 2017. Kentos 2017 concluded that these two variables were the strongest correlates of academic dishonesty in college. In the senior high school, In Zamboanga del Sur, where the researcher used to teach practical research, it was observed that plagiarism was recurring in students' work. It has been a growing perennial problem. However, the idea and the discussion about plagiarism seemed confined with practical research subjects only. There was not much effort to require students to credit their source in other learning areas, even though teachers agree that plagiarism persists in student work. The no plagiarism rule is perceived as just a course requirement for practical research rather than an academic policy. However, it was notable that students tend to be conscious of proper citation and referencing in the research projects, but not in other forms of academic writing or subjects other than practical research. It seems to demonstrate inconsistent behavior towards plagiarism. The absence of policy relative to the problem is also an important deterrent in successfully solving the issue. Cortes, Coucher, Green, Rundle, Paul, and Davis of 2018 suggested strong anti-plagiarism norms to curb the problem. Not very many teachers are interested in solving the problem, and those who do not are, let alone without the backing of strong school norms. Furthermore, aside from the lack of a clear-cut policy on the issue, teachers have differing views towards plagiarism, sending conflicting signals to the students on how plagiarism should be treated. The need for research studies to focus on plagiarism in basic education is indeed undeniable. Therefore, this study is conducted to light a fire on this underexplored niche by examining the students' attitude towards plagiarism and assessing their plagiarism practices in a non-research subject. The study results will be helpful to apprise teachers about the need to apply an effective control of the writing process and follow up anti-plagiarism practices in all learning areas. The study aims to steer a discussion for policy and instructional options to proactively and appropriately curb plagiarism in secondary schools. So that's the introduction and rationale of the STEM students' attitude and plagiarism behavior in academic writing, implications to policy and pedagogy. The researcher emphasized, of course, particularly on plagiarism, how it was being defined, and how plagiarism is being noted anywhere in the world. And it has been cited many sources, authors of different years of publication, and has provided a scenario on what really is happening on the practical research subject in the secondary level. Of course, in one of the schools in Zamboanga del Sur. Now, it also emphasized the problem of having the absence of policy relative to the problem, on which it is also being it was all the issue. And the reason of conducting the study, on which this aims to steer a discussion for the policy and instructional options to proactively and appropriately curb plagiarism in the secondary schools of the Zamboanga del Sur division. Now, for your activity 2, you are going to craft the basic research proposal part 1. So from the title you made, or the title that you have crafted in activity 1, you are going to make an introduction and rationale relative to the title that you have crafted in activity 1. Again, it will be submitted on the same link. Of course, bit.ly/ capital letters BR underscore Fasi1 underscore Alikaway. Now let's move to the literature review. Now, in the literature review, you are going to discuss key issues which underlie the research, major findings, problems identified, recommendations, and questions raised in previous researches, the main points of the view and controversies, critical evaluation of these views, their strengths and weaknesses, general conclusions about the research papers, what research still needs to be done, and what knowledge gaps remain that the study will aim to fill. Take note, not all related literature will be included in the introduction and rationale. So you are going to provide all the sources that you can find relative to the topic in this part, the literature review part. How are we going to appraise the related literature and proper citation? This comprises 10 points, and the viewpoints and issues underlying the present research are discussed and synthesized. They are critically evaluated to identify inconsistencies or gaps in current knowledge or educational policy that the study intends to address. Constructs are defined and presented in a conceptual framework. Citation of literature sources is also consistent. Now, let me show to you the useful and trusted internet search engine sites that we could use in having or conducting research, writing or conducting basic research. Or this could be utilized, of course, if you are also making action researches. The first one is www.google.com that we usually use, especially on searching informations. And for the studies, for the published studies or articles, we could use the www.scholar.google.com or the Google Scholar. Now, for the search engine for having the citations or providing appropriate citations on the sources that you have included in your study, you could use www.citefast.com. And if you are going to indicate some more words, synonymous words, you could use the Snappy Words or www.snappywords.com. Now, if you want to shorten the sources or the URL that are being included in your study, you could use the bit.ly.com. Now let's have an example for the literature review. The same title, STEM Students' Attitude and Plagiarism Behavior in Academic Writing, Implications to Policy and Pedagogy. The multifaceted nature of plagiarism has directed research in many different directions and perspectives. Generally, plagiarism is an unethical act that must be destroyed. Ali, Ismail, and Shit 2012. It is a common yet avoidable malpractice which affects students and teachers alike. Roca 2017. This review looks into previous research that proved the prevalence of plagiarism in academic writing and its association with the internet, focusing on the pre-university level. It also explores how attitude determines plagiarism behavior among students. Plagiarism is one type of academic dishonesty ingrained in the long history of science and literature, sa DG 2016. Although plagiarism existed long before the internet, it amplified the problem. The ease in which complete information flooding the internet can be copied and shared seems to encourage student plagiarism. Palmer, Oakley, and Pigrom 2017. For instance, plagiarism was the most common digital academic misconduct among grade 7 students. Blau and Ishit Alkalai 2017. Also, internet use correlated positively with the incidence of plagiarism. Diaz, etc. 2018. Mosha and Ani 2015 found sampled university assignments containing text taken from the internet without proper attribution. Without a doubt, the internet plays an essential part in the effort to solve the problem. The lack of knowledge and awareness regarding plagiarism has been conclusively associated with this wrongdoing. Maimon, Ali Zafar, and Zik 2019 concluded that the practice of plagiarism is significantly higher when there is a lack of knowledge. Students are generally aware of plagiarism, but not so much on the acts that are deemed to be plagiarizing. Pandey, Sharma, and Rawal 2016. For example, junior students across grade levels in Hong Kong have a diverse understanding of what actions are considered plagiarism. Kam Ho and Chong 2017. Some university students in Indonesia had difficulty identifying plagiarism, although they knew it by definition. By Namasari 2018. Namasari 2018. Similarly, a sample of Chinese graduate students had inadequate knowledge of the subtle types of plagiarism, such as inappropriate referencing, Shin and Hu 2020. However, studies also reveal that plagiarism is still prevalent among students who are considered knowledgeable about it. Mohan, Muslim, and Jahari 2020 suggested in their research that knowledge and attitude are the primary predictors of committing plagiarism by students. Attitude is an essential concept in social psychology. It is considered a strong determinant of behavior. Schweldens, etc. 2014. Olson and Kaleso 2019 found that students' intention to commit plagiarism is significantly affected by their attitude and moral obligation. Shen and Hu 2020 found participants of their study to generally condemn plagiaristic behavior. Although some accept plagiarism resulting from inadequate academic ability and low risk of getting caught. Hosni and Shamim in 2014 noted the prevalence of cheating and plagiarism among their respondents despite their shared belief that it is unethical and unreligious. Rodea and Vijayati of 2020 found that 66% of the graduate student respondents have a neutral attitude towards plagiarism, which means they could tolerate it. These findings show that students generally have an ambivalent attitude towards plagiarism, and it could be one of the crucial factors in addressing the problem. Plagiarism is common misconduct plaguing educational institutions, according to Hassan and Khan in 2018, shedding light in the extent of the problem to be difficult due to the sensitive nature. The seriousness of this situation can be safely inferred judging from the numerous studies and literature ranging from the different themes and perspectives. However, citing Comas 2009, Degree Forgas and Trobat of 2015 pointed to the scarcity of studies that focused on secondary students, as if lower education levels were immune to this phenomenon. In trying to describe and quantify plagiarism practices in the secondary schools, Negri, Forgas, and Trobat of 2015 concluded that plagiarism in secondary schools is equally prevalent in universities, though the least serious types. They suggested that secondary schools should quickly curb plagiarism at their level, considering the extent and severity of the problem. Vera and Weaver 2016 also noted discount data relating to the plagiarism at the secondary level. They reviewed research reports submitted by secondary students in science fairs and found that more than 85% of seniors could not cite resources correctly. Accordingly, university students may not always intend to plagiarize, but may also be lacking adequate knowledge and training in providing proper citation of sources while in higher school, Vera and Weaver 2016. It is evident in these findings that plagiarism in higher institutions can be ascribed to plagiarism practices in the secondary level that were not corrected. Now, those are these paragraphs being reflected in the literature review of this study. STEM students' attitude and plagiarism behavior in academic writing, implications to policy and pedagogy. The first paragraph emphasizes on the multifaceted nature of plagiarism. And in the second paragraph, these are the definitions being cited or being sourced out by the authors. The third paragraph emphasizes on the lack of knowledge and awareness on plagiarism by the students. And on the fourth paragraph, a sample being a sample study or the result of the study by Shen and Hu as being reflected and also being suggested by Mohan, Muslim, and Jahari in 2020 about attitude and knowledge as the primary predictors of committing plagiarism by students. Now, on this paragraph, attitude is being focused, and there are 4 studies or 5 studies being reflected on this paragraph. Then, the studies being conducted by Hassan and Khan, studies citing Thomas of 2009, and of course, the studies conducted by Vera and Weaver of 2016. Now, you are going to craft your basic research proposal part 2. And always take note that you will be having the useful and trusted internet sites or search engines, specifically the Google Scholar, for you to cite some of the studies being conducted before to be included on your related or literature review. Now, from the introduction and rationale, continue on making the literature review. Be sure to cite the authors. And those authors will also be reflected, or their studies will be reflected on the references, which is on the last part of your basic research proposal. So, take note that if you're going to cite an author, or you are going to have a study being conducted before by the authors, you are going to include those studies in the references, and always have notes on where you have included those authors in your parts of the basic research, so that you will not be misled, or you will not mistakenly provide the source of the study that you have reflected on your BR or the basic research. Now, the third part of the basic research proposal is the research questions. You are going to include the general and specific questions you intend to study. Now, research questions part involves investigating or testing an idea, trying out solutions to a problem, exploring and analyzing issues, creating a new procedure or system, explaining a phenomenon, or a combination of any of these. Now, in appraising the research questions, the basic research proposal will have 20 points for this. And the research questions must logically proceed from the context of the study. They are formulated to clearly show the extent and different angles of inquiry. For example, the different variables of interest, relationships to be proved, geographical and temporal scope. Again, the research questions in the appraisal of the basic research proposal has 20 points. Now let's have an example for the BR proposal part 3. Again, this is the same study as we have reflected in the part 1, part 2. Now, the study's objectives are to know how much the students knew and felt towards plagiarism and assess their plagiarism practices to find a relationship between these variables. Ultimately, this study will establish pedagogical and policy implications to curb plagiarism in academic writing. Specifically, it aims to answer the following research questions. 1. What is the participants' attitude towards plagiarism? 2. To what extent does plagiarism manifest in the participants' writing assignments? Number 3. Is there a significant relationship between students' attitudes and the extent of their plagiarism practices? And 4, what are the implications of the study's results to policy and pedagogy? Take note that in the research questions, you are going to start with the general question followed by the specific questions of your proposal. Now, for activity 4, you are going to craft your basic research proposal part 3. Make a general question and create at least 4 specific questions on the topic that you have crafted. Again, the first activity will be utilized for the crafting of activity 2, activity 3, and activity 4. So, again, you are going to send the your answers or your activities on bit.ly/br_fasi1_alikaway. Now let's move on the fourth scope and limitation. You are going to discuss the coverage of the research in terms of location, time, respondents, etc. Inherent design or methodology parameters that can restrict the scope of the research findings and are outside the control of the researcher. Now let's have an example for this. The same title or the same study being reflected from the first part of this session. Now, the study will focus on establishing a correlation between attitude towards plagiarism and plagiarism behavior of grade 11 STEM students in school year 2020-2021 of one senior high school in the division of Zamboanga del Sur. The goal of the study is to dig for insights in the cause and extent of plagiarism. Ultimately, it aims to establish instructional and policy implications to recommend possible solutions to the problem. In the study, the researcher will utilize a writing activity in the module for the 21st century literature to measure their plagiarism practices, followed by a questionnaire to measure their attitude towards plagiarism. Now, we have the last activity for this session, and this is crafting basic research proposal part 4. You are going to make a scope and limitation out from the crafted title. Again, the activities in this session are interrelated. So that means starting from activity 1, that's the crafting of the title. Activity 2, that is the crafting of the introduction and rationale. Then activity 3, that is the related literature. Activity 4, that is the crafting of your research questions. You have to start with the general one and then followed by the specific questions. And finally, the activity 5, that is crafting BR part 4. Now let me show you the link for the submission of our outputs. Okay, so bit.ly/capital letter BR underscore Fasi1 underscore Alikaway. So I am expecting the 5 activity outputs from your end so that we could see or we could find out who among our participants online are engaged with our activities now. And kindly indicate also your name as well as the school and the district so that you will be acknowledged as well. Again, for the output submission, for my session, you are going to submit your outputs in the link https://bit.ly/br underscore Fasi1 underscore Alikaway. That's all for my session. Have a blessed day. Good morning. So I would like to inform everyone that you will be crafting all those activities within 20 minutes. Again, you are going to craft the activity 1, starting with the title, followed by the introduction and rationale, your literature review, your research questions, and scope and limitation within 20 minutes. And after that one, we are going to have the critiquing. And for our researchers or teacher researcher, our researchers or our online audience now who could submit their outputs in that frame, 20 minutes, 20-minute time frame, you will receive something from the czar, of course. And since Yultay season na, then we'll provide something for you. And this is only limited for those who have submitted their outputs. And we are going to immediately or proactively have the critiquing. Again, 20 minutes for those activities that are being provided to you, that are being asked from you, and then submit on the link that I have provided. And the link will be posted once will be posted in our platform. Thank you. Good morning once again and welcome back sa ato ang capacity building. So, currently our typical team is checking our link for the submission of our outputs. Now we have chosen only one, and so lucky for this researcher because he or her study will be checked or reviewed by our peer reviewers in a division of Zamboanga. So the title is Challenges and Perspectives on the Modular Distance Learning Implementation is Impact Towards the School's Readiness on Limited Face-to-Face Instruction Implementation. So the introduction, the shift of educational setup due to COVID-19 pandemic brought a lot of changes in the life of learners, teachers, parents, and stakeholders. During the school closures, all face-to-face classroom teaching and learning process were eventually cancelled. Despite the setbacks being experienced by all education institutions, the Department of Education was able to form its basic education learning continuity plan that introduces the different learning delivery modalities, which includes modular distance learning that elementary school continues to implement in this time of pandemic. So according to the Department of Education 2020, modular distance learning involves individualized instruction. So we are going to immediately have a proactive review or comments or critique with this. So you're going to immediately indicate DepEd order, what DepEd order that emphasizes the modular distance learning, which involves individualized instruction. So you have to look for the department order or DepEd order for this matter. Let's continue. That allows learners to use. Okay, so we have the self-learning modules in print and digital format, whichever is applicable. Now we have read through with this study, so make sure that transition words will be in use. So transition words, so to make sure that the thoughts from first to the concluding paragraph is coherent, showing concise statements. Now contents, let's move down a little bit. Modular learning is the most popular type. Okay, let's move. Okay, modular learning is most popular type of distance learning. This learning modality is currently used by most of the public schools because according to the survey conducted by the Department of Education, please emphasize what year or any source that you can prove for this. So indicate the source of the information, not just the Department of Education. Okay, learning through printed and emerged as the most prepared distance learning method of parents with children who are enrolled in academic year, Bernardo 2020. Since education is no longer held within the school, parents serve as partners of teachers in education. Parents play a vital role as home facilitators. Okay, so contents of our okay, contents. Okay, so you move down a little bit. Okay, this research will also okay, the curriculum instruction aims to apply for the limited face-to-face instruction to address the gaps on learning. The research will also provide information down how the parents and learners perceive the modular distance learning as a way of delivering basic education, distinguishing issues and problems to provide intervention to address the needs and priorities. So kindly choose words that are appropriate for the introduction and rationale. Now let's move on the literature review. Okay, on the literature review, the contents of our part should show that statements are peer-reviewed, employ the use of in-text and parenthetical citations. Now you have to follow the format. It seems that in the review that is being reflected in the study are just copy-pasted. So you have to really input the use of in-text and parenthetical citations, not just simply copying the parts of the article or the study and then base it on your study. So with that, this okay. Parameters should okay. This should be okay. Sige. Let's move down a little bit. A little higher. Down. Now you have to indicate also what year is Mark Anthony Liego's article being published. So DepEd Learning Delivery Modalities for School Year 2021-2022 by Mark Anthony Liego. So you can put in the references Liego, comma, M, period, and then indicate the year this study or article being published. Okay. Yeah, this is simply copying, and pasting on the study. Yeah, let's move the same. Okay, move down. Okay, so there goes. There is the year. There is the date being the publication of this article, but you have to cite this one into in-text or parenthetical citations. So anyway, all of the references later will be discussed in some of our facilitators. For the information of everybody, this convergence is not only for the basic research, but there is also the action researches. We are now on the basic research so that you will really differentiate what's the basic and what's the action. For the basic, there's no need for you to indicate the innovation, but that's for the action. Innovations will be for the action researches. Now that will be discussed tomorrow by our active facilitators or the peer reviewers of the divisions of those work. Now, for the referencing, we have facilitators to have the referencing both in the basic and both in the action researches. Now let's move down to the next part. That's RRL. We are still in the RRL. Now let's move to the research questions. The research aims to identify the challenges and perspectives in implementation of modular distance learning as perceived by the parents and learners. Okay, that's the koan. That's the general question, but it should be in the next paragraph significantly, comma, it will answer the following questions. So those, how many specific questions do we have? Okay, there are 6 questions. That's good. Okay, so significantly, that will start the second paragraph. Significantly, comma, it will answer the following questions. What is the level of parents and learners' perception and implementation? Distance learning in terms of learning environment, teaching and learning process, and learning assessment. Now, what are the challenges encountered on the implementation modular? Okay, the same, the three terms. What is the level of schools readiness? Next. Is there a significant relationship between the perception and parents and learners? Perception of parents and learners and the challenges encountered in implementation of modular distance learning. Is there a significant relationship between the level of parents and learners' perception on the modular distance learning implementation and the level of schools readiness on implementation of limited face-to-face instruction? So is there a significant relationship between the challenges encountered? Okay, so take note that in crafting our questions, we should have this, we should focus on SMART. So SMART, S-M-A-R-T, S specific, M for measurable, A attainable, R realistic, and of course time bound. Take note that we are only provided with ample of months to conduct our researches, both in basic and in action researches. So it should be SMART, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound within that specific school year. Now let's move to the scope and limitation. The study focuses on determining the parents' learners' perception. Okay, so the scope details should be specific and precisely stated, including the parameters to be considered. So there are how many? Okay. There are many, 45 respondents were possibly selected because of their level of maturity to answer the survey. So there are the number of samples indicated. Okay, very good. Other considerable limitations dependent of factors not related, of course. Okay, move up. Okay, so congratulations for that researcher who submitted his or her research, and thank you so much for joining us and for that gift from the Constellation of Sambusor Active Researchers. began with session 1 that comprises for the first part of the basic research proposal. So the introduction and rationale, the review or the literature review, followed by the research questions and scope and limitation. So I am Quem once again from Mulabi West District, and I hope that you will conduct your researches, of course, for the betterment of the education system and in your school, in our district, in our division, for the future of our nation, para sa bata, para sa bayan. Again, this is Quem, and we are going to have our second facilitator for another session, or the second part of the basic research proposal completion. We have Ma'am Leonie Balaod from Tambulig District.
Hello, good afternoon, welcome back. So, this moment we will discuss the references. So, references is very important in your study. It lists all the sources you've used in your research so readers can easily find what you have cited. It also describes as giving credit with citation to the source of information used in one's work. References provide the information necessary for the readers to identify and retrieve each work cited in the text. Referencing is an important part of academic work. It puts your work in context, demonstrate the breadth and depth of your research, and acknowledge others' work. You should reference whenever you use someone else's idea, and then it should appear at the end of your paper. Our references also provide the information necessary for a reader to locate and retrieve any source of you cite in the body of the paper. Each source you cite in the paper must appear in the reference list. Now, in our paper, we should apply the APA referencing. This is a style in an author date referencing system published by the American Psychological Association. We have here the APA conventions. First, use of authors' names. In APA style, only the author's last name is used in the document as a whole and within in-text citation in particular. Remember the last name. Second, if the author's name is mentioned in the text, this is what we call in-text citation. Most often, an author's last name appears in the text with the date of publication immediately following in parentheses. Say, for example, Boles 2000 provide a practical, detailed approach to job hunting. So that is the in-text citation. And then, number 3, if the author's name is not mentioned in the text. Now, you can now differentiate between parenthetical and in-text citation. Here, when the author's name does not appear in the text itself, it appears at the end of the parenthesis followed by a comma and the date of publication. Example, interactive fiction permits readers to move freely through a text and to participate in its authorship according to Bolter 2001. So that is in parenthetical way. Next, if there are two authors. When a work has two authors, always cite both names. Again, always cite both names every time the source is cited in the text. Example, Cousin-Buck and Smith 1993 defined a team as a small number of people with complementary skills who are committed to a common purpose, performance goals, and approach for which they hold themselves mutually accountable. So that is on page 45. So there, it cited the two authors, the Cousin-Buck and the Smith, and the year of publication, which is the 1993. Next is if there are 3, 4, and 5 authors. When you cite for the first time a work with 3, 4, or 5 authors, you need to cite all of them. Again, you need to cite if there are 4 or 5 authors using their names. Example, Cogdill, van der Kley, Kilburn and Williams, 2001, argue that making back channel overtly available for study would require making its presence and content visible and its content persist, affecting the nature of the back channel and raising social and ethical issues. So that is an in-text citation. Now, what's the difference between and the ampersand? When you use or when you cite for 2, 3, 4, or 5 authors in your paper, correctly use the proper and the ampersand conventions. In the index citation, Mazman and Kokak Oslowell, 2009. So as you can see, if you are going to apply the index citation, use the word and. Here, Basman and Oslowell, 2009, present a theoretical model which contains factors that possibly affects the adoption of social network applications for usage in the educational context. On the other hand, in the parenthetical citation, you are going to use the sign ampersand. Example, perceived usefulness and perceived ease of use have positive effects on Facebook adoption in academic usage. Ventikash, Venkatish, and Bala, 2008. That is their year of publication. Next, if there are 6 or more authors. If a work has 6 or more authors, cite the last name of the first author followed by et al. In all citations. Okay. In the index citation, Adkins et al., year of publication, which is 2001, studied the use of collaborative technology during a multinational civil military exercise. And in the parenthetical citation, the use of Student Learning Network, or SLN, can give students and teachers a chance of using social networking tools by getting rid of inappropriate content and maximizing privacy and security concerns. Bradley et al., 2010. So please take note of the difference. If you are going to use the MTech citation, just write there the et al., period, and open and close parenthesis, year of publication. And in the parenthetical citation, you are going to write the Bradley et al., period, comma, and year of publication. Number 8, if 2 authors have the same last name. If a document includes sources by 2 authors with the same last name, include the first and middle initial of each author in all text citations. So example here, R.P. Allen, 1994. So the R.P. is the initial. And then D.N. Allen, 1998, have both studied the effects of email monitoring in the workplace. So as you can see, the authors have the same family name, but it differs on their name initials or the middle initials. Number 9, if 2 or more sources are cited. When citing 2 or more sources by different authors within the same citation, place the authors' names in parentheses in alphabetical order, followed by the year of publication and separated by a semicolons. Example here, you have researched something and then you have many sources, many references. So just simply write there the year of publication, and then the names. Example, hypertext significantly changes the process of information retrieval. Close and open parenthesis. Bolter, 2001, semicolon, Bosch, 1945, semicolon, Lando, comma, and the year of publication, which is the 1997. So that is how you are going to use the EPA-K conventions. So we have here the example of references. So all lines after the first line of each entry in your references list should be indented 1/2 inch from the left margin. No? Please see the example here, the example there that says mass. So there, educating academic writing skills in engineering, and then it has a 1/2 inch from the left margin. This is called hanging indentation. Then next is all author's name should be inverted. Last name should be provided first. And then author's first and middle name should be written as initials. For example, there, Barnett S, Bilyanka P, and Stubbs M 2013, A Short Guide to College Writing. So that is their research title. Please don't forget to apply the EPA style convention. Okay, your references list entries should be alphabetized by the last name of the first author of each work. And for multi-articles by the same author or authors listed in the same order, list the entries in chronological order from earliest to most recent. So we also have here the trusted scientific search engine. So if you find difficulties in having your related literature, just simply use this trusted engines. So we have here the www.scholar.google.com.ph. You can have many resources there. You can have journals to be used in your review of literature. We can also have the www.eric.ed.gov. Next, the www.duwaj.org. And the last one is the www.pej.com. Another helpful database, the www.getcited.org. Just screenshot po. You can have this, and it is very helpful for you to have many resources. Next is the www.academicresearch.microsoft.com, the www.bioline.org.br, and others. Now, we can also have vocabulary building and enhancement there. You can use the www.snappywords.com. So if you will find the synonyms, the antonyms of that specific word, use that URL. And of course, the difference between terms, just use the website there, www.differencebetween.com. And for the shortener of the URL, the www.go.gi. So these are the references of the slides. Okay. And then make sure that you are going to review your literature, the journals, because it is very much helpful in the conduct of your research and for your completed action or basic research. Thank you so much. And then I would like also to emphasize the quote there. Don't try to impress people. Always be yourself, according to Bella Thorne. Uy, i-present pa man ka tungkuan. Okay, so why is it that we need to emphasize referencing? This is because we are breaking the symptomology of academic theft, because this is what not all but some are applying in their research proposals or completed research. So at the end of the session, the participants are expected to increase the level of awareness on academic plagiarism. The participants are expected to understand about action research, acquaint with academic writing essentials, forms and styles, and appreciate the use of software in plagiarism detection. Now, these are the presentation outline. What is action research? Forms of plagiarism, the 5 types of plagiarism, strategies to avoid plagiarism, punishment of plagiarism, writing essentials, the forms and styles, and detecting plagiarism. Now, what is plagiarism? I know that this is not new to you guys, but this plagiarism is what we call presenting another's original thoughts or ideas as your own. The problem here is we tend to copy paste the data from the journals and then cite the authors. But if you are going to test it using the plagiarism detection, it will automatically mark as plagiarized, because that is misconception. Akala natin, oy, okay na yun kasi na-cite na. But in the real scenario, in the real situation, you need to paraphrase the text from that journal. Do not just copy paste. This is using another's exact words without proper citation. Now, this is a plagiarism survey. As you can see there are legends. Blue, are you aware of an academic integrity policy of DepEd? And the orange one is, have you read it? So please see the data. The blue there is no, which is blue. So there are still 21% of the participants that are aware of academic integrity. But sad to say that there are 26% have not read about the academic integrity policy of DepEd, and so on. Now, in the DepEd Order number 16, Series 2017, or the Research Management and Guidelines, it is specified there the plagiarism and fraud, which is the research proponents are required to observe the highest standard of ethics during the preparation and implementation of the research proposal. Based on experience, there are research paper that are marked as plagiarized because they are not aware that they are practicing that activity. Because during the college time, they're just using they're just copy paste the idea to their paper and then cite the authors. But sad to say that this practice should not be done because again it will result to a plagiarized output. The proponent is required to submit an anti-plagiarism declaration or Annex 2, attesting to the originality of the research study. Any act of fraud and plagiarism will be dealt with accordingly. Further, anyone found to have committed plagiarism will be blacklisted from availing of any other research grant mechanism in the Department of Education. Okay, so this is the sample Annex 3, the Declaration of Anti-Plagiarism and Absence of Conflict of Interest. So just simply write your name there and then put your or place your signature. So this is the extent of plagiarism in terms of practice. So there are 37% somewhat practice, 12 practice, and there are 48 they do not practice plagiarism. And of course, 3% there highly practice plagiarism. Now, plagiarism is the act of presenting another's work or ideas as your own, as what I mentioned earlier. Okay, examples of the works or ideas that can be plagiarized. So, essay taken from the internet, poems, videos, photos or illustrations, movies, and web pages. Presentation focus. Academic essays or manuscript reports, theses, dissertation, action researches, and critiques. No, please be reminded again not to copy paste the work from others. Now, deliberate or accidental. Ignorance is never an excuse. It doesn't matter if you intend to plagiarize or not. In the eyes of the law and most publishers, academic institution, any form of plagiarism is an offense that demands punitive action. Okay. There are 5 types of plagiarism. So try to ask yourself, are you stealing intellectual property? Plagiarism of words. The use of another's exact words without citing the author. Incorrect. Plagiarism is the reproduction of someone else's words, ideas, or findings and presenting them as one's own without proper acknowledgement. That is very incorrect. The right thing to do is the reproduction of someone else's words, ideas, or findings and presenting them as one's own without proper acknowledgement. So that is undergraduate course handbook page 2000. The year of publication is 2008, page 24. Plagiarism of structure. Paraphrasing another's words by changing sentence construction or word choice with citation. Next, paraphrasing while maintaining original sentence construction without acknowledging the source. So you are still copying. Plagiarism of ideas. Presenting another's ideas as your own without giving the person credit. And submitting a paper without citing or incorrectly citing another's ideas. The fourth type, plagiarism of ownership. Turning in a replication of another's work. Submitting a paper that you got off the internet or from a friend and presenting it as your own. So example in here is the researches of our students. Diba? We have our research subject in the senior high school, and then you have there many many research paper, and then submitted it to the division of Zamboanga del Sur. So that is again a plagiarized output. Next, the fifth type is plagiarism of self. The use of previous work for a separate assignment. Although these were your original words and thoughts, receiving credit for a previous assignment is considered cheating. Example, you are submitting your undergraduate thesis in the other sort of research presentation like district congress, division congress. Again, that is cheating. So you need to make another research, another proposal for you to submit. And the last is strategies to avoid plagiarism. Okay, first, quotation marks. Use quotation marks in your notes to help yourself remember the exact phrases you write down from another work. Next, author labels. Use author labels in your notes to help yourself remember where a certain idea has come from. So you take down note everything. 3, system of separation. Figure out a good system to separate your own ideas, summaries, and paraphrase from the work you are referencing. One possibility is to only copy down direct quotes during your research and wait until the writing process to summarize and paraphrase in your own words. So that's the best idea. Fourth, read, then look away to write. When summarizing or paraphrasing, read the section you want to reference and then look away as you write it in your own words to help prevent copying it too closely. Next is referencing. Including a reference page or page of work cited at the end of your research paper by meeting the document formatting guidelines used by your educational institution, which includes the author's date of publication, title, and sources. So this is mentioned earlier. The use of the word adopted versus adapted. Now, how you're going to differentiate the two, the O and the A. Adopted from or verbatim completely copied all text article without changing the original documents. So that is what we call adapted. On the other hand, the adapted, it is copied the text, but you add, change text, or localize it to your end, but retaining the author's name. Unintentional plagiarism. Please take note of this. Paraphrasing poorly. Changing a few words without changing the sentence structure of the original, or changing the sentence structure but not the words. So you are doing again plagiarism. So you should paraphrase it perfectly. Next, quoting poorly. Putting quotation marks around part of a quotation but not around all of it, or putting quotation marks around a passage that is partly paraphrased and partly quoted, or citing poorly. And the last is omitting an occasional citation or citing inaccurately. Another, intentional plagiarism. Passing of as one's own pre-written papers, so from the internet or other sources. Copying an essay or article from the internet, online source, or electronic database without quoting or giving credit. So we are fond of doing this one. And then cutting and pasting from more than one source to create a paper without quoting or giving credit. Borrowing words or ideas from other students or sources without giving credit. So please be reminded. Next is plagiarism prevention. You should be authentic. Develop a topic based on previously written material, but write something new and original. Next, rely on opinions of experts on a topic, but improve upon those opinions. Give credit to researchers while making your own contribution. Follow a standard documentation method such as MLA or APA format, but in our basic research proposal, just use or apply APA. You do not have to cite your source when the information you include is a common knowledge. When we say common knowledge, this is the information that the average educated reader would accept as reliable without having to look it up. The common knowledge are the following: information that most people know. Example, water freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Next, information shared by a cultural or national group. Example, Dr. Jose Rizal is our Philippine national hero. Next, knowledge shared by members of a certain field. That is law of inertia. And please take note on common knowledge again, that what may be common knowledge in one culture, nation, academic discipline, or peer group may not be common knowledge in another. So the best advice is, when in doubt, cite your source. Now, we should also know the punishment for plagiarism. Although plagiarism can be intentional or unintentional, both have consequences. Repercussion. It entails punishment. First is the academic. Receiving 0 on the assignment, failing the course, suspensions, and worse, expulsion. For the legal basis, monetary fines and imprisonment. And the last is the institutional, loss of jobs and deniable of and denial of positions. So that's it. You need to think on how to cite your references for us to avoid academic theft. Okay, so that's all for this afternoon. Thank you so much for listening. God bless us all.
Good afternoon, our live audience. We would like to commend you for your indulgence and for staying this far despite the glitches we have had while we were in this particular activity. So, we would like now to address the queries being parked in our YouTube channel. Right? So let us have now our first question. How many research themes do we have? As to the themes in the conduct of our research, we have four research themes. And what are these themes? Teaching and learning, human resource and development, and we have governance, child protection, policy. And we also have our three cross-cutting themes: inclusive education and disaster risk management, gender development, and we have this additional theme, the BELCP, in light of the COVID-19 pandemic. Right, so let's proceed to our next question. What is the minimum or the maximum number of teachers for a collaborative research? In conducting a collaborative research, if you have your plans to conduct a collaborative research activity in your respective ends, we will, as stipulated in the DepEd order, there are only three members of the team. Right, so let's proceed to our next question. Do we still have questions? We believe that we no longer have any questions parked in our respective virtual accounts. And so we would like to inform you that we still have our day two. And tomorrow we'll be talking about the essentials of action research writing. And we hope we were able to provide you the necessary inputs as to how we go through with our basic research writing. Good afternoon, everyone. And we have governance, child protection policy. And we also have our three cross-cutting themes: inclusive education, and disaster risk management,